Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto nerds of all ages, it's that time again. Today, we're tossing around some buzzwords like fractional ownership, digital ownership. Let's talk today about NFTs. We have the CEO of Pixl Exchange and one of their top advisors joining us today. Stick around.
Now tuned in to the KryptoNurd podcast, brought to you by Citrus and ALGO Fund. Be sure to like and subscribe.
All right, welcome to the channel. Rinaldi, Alex, I am so glad you guys could join us here today to talk about fractional ownership, digital ownership, and what you guys are doing with the Pixl Exchange. And we've got some top secret reveals coming up just a little bit later, so folks are going to want to stay tuned in. And thanks for joining us here and exposing the community to your new project. I know that we talked ahead of time, and we figured, you know what, let's take a slightly different, a task to this and line up maybe 10 quick hitting questions. But before we do that, before we start with the project, can you give me just a little bit of information about each of you, and then we'll dive into these questions. Rinaldi, why don't you go first?
Sure. Thank you, Monty. A pleasure being here. So I am the CEO and founder of Pixl Exchange. We call it Pixl.e in our community.
Pixl.e.
So Pixl Exchange is a marketplace that it will be connecting NFT creators or digital creators with NFT buyers. And so what we found is that the market is really hard for digital creators to break through. So we're lowering the barrier of entry for digital creators and making it so that they can release large collections without needing a degree in AI and machine learning.
Fantastic. Alex?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Name is Alex Dumitrescu. I'm on the board of advisors for Pixl.e here, and I've been in the Web3 space for quite some time now. I've advised on a few other DAOs. One of them is still ongoing, still building in this bear market called Future Quest, and it's climate and impact focused. Outside of that, I work in a lot of different tech startups, so always have my hands in something interesting and excited to be here to talk through Pixl.e with everyone.
Excellent. All right. So with that said, what is Pixl.e? Obviously, it's short for Pixl Exchange, but give us a little bit more in-depth details there.
So Pixl.e is a marketplace. And so, again, what we found is that the market is really difficult for digital creators. We have worked with lots of different creators, and what we found is that the market is moving towards large PFP collections. And so that's how a lot of these projects have been successful. And so what we're doing is we're building tech that allows these creators to maintain the same workflow that they've always had. And they're able to put together one-of-one collections. And we're helping them take these collections and create these assets and create large collections from them. And we're lowering the barrier of entry for them and making it such that they can do this without having to team up with a lab or have a machine learning degree or AI degree. And so through this process, we've been able to attract lots of different creators in the comic book space, gamers, folks that are working on 3D models and things of that such. So it's an opportunity to really even the playing field for these folks that have really avoided this space because of what they've seen from it.
Right. There was just fear of the unknown, right?
Really fear of the unknown, and it's quite complex. And so we're trying to decomplexify the space for them.
Yeah, we want their talent, and we want to make it as easy as possible to view and have them share their work, and possibly make a profit from it, and be able to find a new audience that it was previously unachievable, I think, for them. That kind of leads into our next question here, and that's more about the marketplace. What was that aha moment? What was the motivation to start something like this up?
Well, it's really what we're seeing in the general broader marketplace. The current model really, I think it really reinforces this desire to create these PFP collections. And it's not that PFP collections are bad. We love PFP collections, and I own a number of PFPs myself. But for digital artists that are working within large publishing and multimedia firms, their workflow is just not suited for what you're seeing with the current marketplace. And so for them to change their entire workflow to participate in this space and be successful is really keeping them out. And so we're building a marketplace that allows them to really maintain the same workflow and also participate and succeed in a space that is really beneficial for digital creators. One of the things that we understand is that for digital creators working within the top five Web two platforms, they're not seeing any real monetization and profit from their works. But when they move to the Web3 space and they're working within these Web3 platforms, they're seeing dramatic increases in revenue and profit from their digital creation. So it's a benefit for them to move over to the Web3 space, but we have to first demystify it and decomplexify it, and that's the mission of Pixl.e.
Yeah. In any other medium, it seems like there's a lot of like extra barriers, right, Alex? Like other people with their hands out saying, "Hey, I want a slice of that," and
yeah. So from what I've been seeing, my experience, right? Like OpenSea was a platform that one of the largest marketplaces in the business right now, right? And early on, you had people coming in, being able to create very simple projects, right? First on chain, and at the time that was very complex, and now a lot of projects are coming on chain, right? And so to be able to do that, a lot of these people and artists, they may not be engineers in the background that are building these fully on-chain systems. They're not blockchain engineers, right? And so they hire now because, they had a couple successes, they're able to afford the top of the line engineering firms to support them, plus hire top of the line marketing, plus hire, community managers, engagers, so on and so forth. So it's become a very complex ecosystem. And I think at the end of the day, Pixl.e is targeting to make this barrier to entry, lower the barrier to entry, and make it accessible to people that cannot necessarily afford that, right? And so this marketplace is saying, hey, you don't have to hire all these different organizations. You don't have to have a PFP that has a drop of 10,000 with unique rare traits, with crazy amounts of utility. It's more about the art focused. And, an analogy that I'll use is like, not too long ago, there were physical artists, right? And those physical artists realized that there's a revolution going on. So a lot of them transferred to becoming digital artists too. And that's where we got to the Web2 space. Well, now there's another revolution, right? And there's a lot of tools and utility that will help benefit each of these artists to be able to move to the Web3 space. So in order to do so, make it more accessible, we need to create this marketplace. But then additionally, we have to educate the people that are coming in that don't necessarily have the background or aren't really truly bought in the full scope of what's going on here.
Yeah, I think that we run the risk of losing a lot of talented folks because they didn't have great business acumen, and so we need systems like this to bring those folks forward, so that they can really showcase and just make it much easier for them. So how are things going? How are things going since the launch? Have you seen some folks? Have you had some success stories? Has anybody been able to like say, hey, you know what? I was working and this was my side gig, and now I can make this my full-time gig?
Yeah, so we are at sort of our initial phase in our roadmap. We've had a lot of success with community building. Where our hub for our community is on Discord, and we've got just amazing engagement. We've got some great digital creators that have joined our space. And we're working with an artist named Andy Tim, phenomenal artist, Afna Rashid from Bangladesh. We've done showcases for a phenomenal artist named Carlos Dottoli. And we've got a really well-known, renowned artist in Boston by the name of Brian Life, who is working with us on our Genesis Pass, which we'll talk about later. And so we've had success there in community building. We're gearing up for our launch for our first product. And as we move towards this launch, will be also engaged and focused on the next phase of our roadmap, which is launching the marketplace.
Good stuff here. Alex, so
Yeah.
from your perspective there, what kind of feedback have you been getting from the community, regarding, launches and just bringing this product forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say the biggest thing is, everyone has a community right now, and with the bear market, we're really vetting out for projects that are not fit, right? Projects that were designed for the wrong reasons, that might not necessarily have a thorough roadmap or a strong backing in terms of team resources and really incentive or intention. Sorry.
Mhm.
And now, being able to build Pixl.e in this market is and seeing it grow consistently time and time again really, really resonates that there is a need for this, right? So there's a lot of different communities of people that either, they try to get into the NFT or the Web3 space, and therefore something happened, they lost some money, and now, they have a bad taste left in their mouth. So bringing more projects like Pixl.e out there and continuing to educate is absolutely crucial for the long-term success of this, but also bringing in a different type of audience than we've seen up until this point, right?
Mhm.
So Pixl.e has been growing rapidly, and most of the focus, as Rinaldi was saying, has been on that community, creating that foundation, right? Once we have that foundation, once people are saying, they wake up in the morning and they say, I want to check what's happening in Pixl.e because I'm getting consistent value on a day-to-day basis, that will allow us to build out the platform. And then already the foundation is built. People can come enjoy the platform. And then eventually, to answer your original question, then I think people can start, seeing some traction to be able to maybe say, hey, actually, this can account for 60% of my monthly salary, just being a part of the marketplace, sharing these artworks and being a part of this larger community. So
I love that that's the long-term goal here. One more question, then we'll talk about that Genesis Pass. But in my experience, there have been just a flood of what I call smash and grab projects, right? These projects that build up a lot of hype. Maybe they spend a little bit of money on marketing. They've got some slick folks behind them. And, they've got these things that you mentioned, they're PFP projects. They've got, these trades. There's, some of these are, promising like VIP memberships and things like that. How many of those before it kind of ruins the community, and do you have to combat that? You think that do you say, hey, you know what, we've curated this, these are real artists and real people, let's showcase the person or the artist behind it, or at least some of their other work, and really kind of narrate a story versus just that hype? How much of that do you have to come up against?
Absolutely, and that's exactly the way that we're approaching this. We are actually doing artist showcases for artists in the Web2 space right now. We're getting their artwork in front of our community and really seeing what resonates with them. We're taking a community first approach to the way that we're making decisions, and it's really been working because our community is hyper engaged. Um, the projects that are coming out and are launching and dropping before they've built community, those projects are absolutely going to fail, right?
Yeah.
And the reason they're going to fail is because they're spending a ton of money with top influencers to get a ton of traction overnight, and they haven't really built an engaged community. There's no real incentive for the products that they're releasing, but there's a lot of hype. And so
Mhm.
again, we're taking sort of the reverse approach where we're focusing on our community first. We're really learning from them, and listening to them and ensuring that what we're developing is the right solution for not just the digital creators that we're working with, but also their communities and what their communities expect from them. And the way that we're working with creators is through a pilot program where we're sitting down with them. We're really understanding who they are, what their communities look like, and also what are the incentives that their communities are really looking for, and then designing drops that are geared towards that specific community, and really
Mhm.
working hand in hand to execute with them. So that's how we're working with our communities and how we're working with the digital creators in our ecosystem.
I think that's a good segue to that Genesis Pass. But go ahead, Alex.
One last comment there. I just really want to highlight that piece that Rinaldi is saying. So the core audience is the artist, right? That's step one. And then the people that are really interested in the art longer term. So because our whole ecosystem is built around that, I would say most of the hype projects are starting to die down. People are getting a lot more intelligent about how to spot these things, right?
Mhm.
Like you can go to roadmap pages, their websites, and you can tell if there's inconsistencies or if there's just not enough information.
Do
The
they
issue
just
is
copy and paste, right? You see so
exactly.
many of these things. Yeah.
Exactly. The thing is, when we start bringing more of the audience that hasn't been familiar with this, as a community, it's our duty to continue to ensure that we're protecting each other. So I'd say, it's pretty easy to understand that kind of baseline, but our approach, as Rinaldi was saying, is different, and it's been working so far. So.
Yeah. One of those unique things is this Genesis Pass. Ronaldo, you want to kind of fill us in there a little bit?
Yeah, so the Genesis Pass we designed as a loyalty pass for our community. It's a three-tiered collection. We have a silver, a gold, and a platinum pass. And we have some phenomenal artists that are working on the artwork for the three tiers.
Mhm.
And the passes are also being fully animated by, I mentioned him before, Brian Light from Boston. I actually just received the fully animated Gold Pass just the other day, and I was blown away. And I can't wait for the community to see what we're coming up with. We're going to be providing utility that gains them discounts in the marketplace, access, exclusive drops from our creator partners, the
Mhm.
ability to vote and create proposals in our community so they can help us make decisions. We're
Ooh,
also
that's unique.
hosting
So pass holders will have voting rights at various levels.
at various tiers, yeah.
Nice.
And then we're actually hosting real life and virtual events. We have a really cool one coming up. We've teamed up with an event planner a team called CJ Meta Events, and they're all over spatial, and they're going to be hosting some events with us. And we're able to gate these events with pass holders. So the ecosystem's really changing. Web3 is allowing for digital ownership, and that
Mhm.
digital ownership is really providing the benefit and the incentives for participating in this space. And so that's really what the Genesis Pass is about.
Yeah, I think something like that also generates that feeling of community, right? If you feel like you've got ownership and it's very exclusive, right? So you've got access to these behind the scenes, and everybody wants an artist to succeed. But if you feel part ownership of then their success is your success, right? So then you not only have people part of the community, but you have advocates, and we need more advocates for real artists. So I love that concept there. Let's stick with the Genesis Pass for just a second here, because you kind of touched a little bit on the benefits and utility of the Genesis Pass, but I want to kind of dive in that just a little bit more. So there's three different tiers. Can you explain what are the significant differences maybe between them?
Yeah, so the system is actually it's randomized, and so when you purchase a Genesis Pass, you're purchasing it at one cost, and so we're charging $150 for minting a Genesis Pass, and you have a 75% chance of being assigned a silver, a
Mm-hmm.
20% chance of being assigned a gold, and a 5% chance of being assigned a platinum. And so the platinum is definitely the holy grail of our Genesis Pass. It comes with 10% discount in our marketplace, which is a pretty hefty discount if you ask me.
Yeah.
But that's the pass that unlocks voting rights, access to the creative partners that we're working with, the ability to engage with them and hang out with them in our lounge. Um, and also, we're doing periodic mail drops, which is it's really a new concept that we've coined, where pass holders that hold the Genesis Pass, the Platinum Pass, will receive periodic physical items in the mail from our
Mhm.
community.
That's amazing. All right, so let's talk about the format for the pass. So can we talk about the physical collectible for a second?
Yeah, I'll start here.
Yeah.
So I just want to lay the ground a little bit. So my experience in a lot of different projects, right? Everybody wants to they purchase an NFT, and then there's a lot of utility that's come to it. But then there's everybody talks about the physical collectible. How do we make this physical? How do we bridge the gap between the digital and the physical space? So a lot of projects that I've seen, they'll start doing things like merch, right? Very basic stuff. You do socks, or you do hats, or so on and so forth. And I think that concept has started to get overplayed. Everybody loves the merch, and some of the merch comes out that's really cool. But I think after time, people get a little bit underwhelmed because it hasn't really changed from previous generations where merch was the number one thing to show your support for a specific project. So Pixl.e is thinking about something a little bit different here from the physical collectible stage. And Rinaldi, we're going to keep this a little cryptic, right? We're not going to tell them too much. That's what we agreed on, right?
We did, but I spoke to Monty, and the community has been really pushing to learn more about this thing that we said that we're gonna do. And so I did share it with Monty. Monty, I know that this is probably a surprise to Alex,
Oh man.
but we wanted to share with the community what they're gonna get. This
Earlier,
year,
you said you coined the physical collectible, and I almost called you out for it, but here we go. Here's the coin, right?
so we coined the term mail drop. And
Yeah.
so what we're going to do is if you hold our Genesis Pass for 60 days, you're going to receive this metal coin. This metal coin contains information about the establishment of Pixl.e. We were established in 2/22/22. And so that year is only going to, it's not going to come around again, that date. And we also have a QR code on the back of the coin, and that QR code is actually going to be tied to the individual ownership of your Genesis Pass. And so each one of these will be unique. They'll be shipped out or mail dropped to holders of the Genesis Pass. And again, this is one of those things where it's not merch, right? It's not a hat. It's not socks. It's something tangible, and it's going to be your key to accessing your ownership of our pass. And folks are really excited about what we're doing with the physical collectible, but they haven't seen it yet. And so this is the first time that we are showcasing this. I really wanted to get it out there. So
I'm
here
going
it
to
is.
leave it up there for just a second longer. Can you talk to us about maybe the artist that did this, or the artist behind the project, or is there a little explanation behind this one, the dragonfly, or sort of the the circuit board looking design there?
Yeah. I'm a very a spiritual person. I listen to the messages that are coming to me, and we were really thinking through what is going to be the concept behind this physical collectible. And I took my wife and my family to a lake in Maine this summer, and the kids were in the lake in the tube. They were playing. My wife and I were on the dock just hanging out, and this dragonfly landed on my wife's shoulder, and it lingered there for nearly 40 seconds. And so I turned
Wow.
over and I saw the dragonfly on her shoulder, and I said, "Hey babe, you got a dragonfly on your shoulder?" And she looked and she said, "Oh wow, there it is." And it just lingered. It was a sign, it was a message. And so I listened. And so we went with this dragonfly. The dragonfly is really the symbol that we're using for all things Pixl.e. So we're doing a memes versus merch contest right now, and we've got folks in our community designing some incredible T-shirts, skateboards, hats, mugs, and they've got these dragonfly designs on them. And when you see the artwork for the Genesis Pass,
Did you say
um,
skateboards?
skateboards, oh yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
love
So
it, man. I'm an old skater, so all right, I dig it. All right.
but when you see the artwork for the Genesis Pass, you're going to be blown away. I don't want to reveal too much here about the Genesis Pass artwork, but what I would say is what you're looking at here may be incredible, but you haven't seen anything yet from us.
All right, there we go. Hope everybody got their screen caps we'll take it off now, and we'll bring us back. There. Sorry, we sprung that on you, Alex.
Surprise. Thank you. I think it was worth it, though. I think it was worth it. Actually, today was my first time seeing this myself. So
I love that story about the dragonfly.
Yeah.
Sometimes things happen, and you got to pay attention. Like you said, you got to listen. Artists listen to what's what the whispers are in the wind, so to speak. So talk to us about the artists and what they're bringing to the table, in addition to what we've already seen so far.
So we're working with a phenomenal artist named Afiner Rashid. He's from Bangladesh, and he is creating the art for all three of the passes. And the concept is a dragonfly or a team of dragonflies discovering a new element. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't do the passes justice by speaking about them. You'll have to see them.
A picture really is worth 1,000 words, right?
It's worth 1,000 words. And so we're taking the artwork that Afina Rashid is creating, and then we're handing it off to Brian Life, who's a phenomenal artist from Boston. I've known Brian for a while, and Brian is fully animating the pieces and bringing them to life. And so when you see the pieces from Afiner, you'll say, wow. But then when you see what Brian is doing with them, it's really like he's creating a movie from static art. And so when you purchase a Genesis pass from us, you'll be randomly assigned one of these tiers, and you'll receive the static and the moving digital piece in your wallet, and you'll be able to use that as your ownership and your pass to the Pixl.e marketplace.
That's fantastic. So I've got to tell you, so I am an environmentalist. So when I look at blockchain, one of the big digs against, Bitcoin until recently, ETH, was the power consumption, and they took some hits for, in one case, I think using more power consumption for Bitcoin mining than like an entire country of Greenland or something crazy like that. So I love this engineering partner. So let's switch from like front of the house to back of the house, so to speak, for just a second. Can you talk to us about your engineering partner, how that works? And then we'll talk a little bit about the Polygon Network and some of those details too.
So we're partnered with Abris, and Abris is a NFT as a service firm in Andover, Massachusetts. We have
and very green, very committed to being environmentally conscious. I love that.
Very much, and they're an impact firm. They really believe in impact projects that are doing something beneficial for society. I know that Alex, you met with Priya recently. I don't know if you have anything to say about Abris yourself.
Yeah, no, I think they're taking a unique approach, right? They're also trying to access different types of communities that don't have necessary access to what's already been created here. And they're trying to do it in a conscious way. So their mindset is around environmental, but also creating opportunities and educating and really taking this with purpose. And so when I met Priya, I went to one of her art galleries, which was part of something that they were doing. They were trying to bring physical art into the digital space and then augment it on top of that. So they did a multi-layer art gallery, which was really fantastic. And it was fine-tuned towards Southeast Asian artists that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And so therefore they're really trying to get access to a number of different folks that don't have access, but also doing it with purpose. So I really appreciated meeting Priya and being a part of that gallery as well. So
I love what you just said. They're doing that with purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I also find that a lot of artists, not only is it the logistics of it, the having the team behind it, how do I mint something, how do I get on chain, all of those things, but it's also the fear that they might be doing something that's bad for the environment. And so assuaging some of those fears and telling folks like, hey, this is actually a very economical, safe, environmentally friendly way to get your work out and shared with as many people as possible. I love that opportunity there. Can we fast forward to Polygon? Because I love the Polygon Network, what it stands for, the use case. But why are you launching? with Polygon? What was the draw there?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So one thing, you've already hit this on the head, Monty, but I'm also the other DAOs that I'm a part of, and the main purpose for me as well is to be part of impact-driven DAOs and communities, and the goal is to create more conscious beings so we can have a positive impact and stay here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can be on this planet for a much longer period
You're
of
right. This
time.
is a long-term gig.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the Polygon Network has really done a lot there. I'd say that they've really honed in on providing resources and support for impact-driven, climate-focused projects. Future Quest is actually partnered with them as well. This is something that's close to home. On top of the fact that they've provided a lot of engineering background, a lot of engineering evolution, right? They provide more than what Ethereum provides in terms of lowering gas fees, multiple transactions, but then also the community and the support that they've built. So between all of us here, I think we've really felt that, and we're hoping to continue that partnership and grow it. But they're not afraid to just say, hey, you're building something interesting. Let's learn about it and let's see how we can provide you with resources, whether it's marketing content on our page, whether it's providing additional financial backing, any of those components, right? So it's really not just the technological. There's a lot of different blockchains that are doing really awesome things, but it's also the environment friendly aspect. And then additional to that, it's the community that's already built around it. It seems like it's a lot more welcoming and easy to jump in. So.
Yeah, I love it. That really speaks to me. So I'm glad to hear that there's that purpose, that drive, that long-term commitment to the planet that we're on here, and it just makes sense, right? You get a whole community of artists who have similar feelings and similar thought patterns and a similar vibe, right? To kind of gather them all together and give them a safe place to present their work and kind of share with the community and grow. Last but not least, I think we would be remiss if we didn't touch on the recent happenings in the news. So we'll date this podcast just a little bit because I want to touch on FTX and see how has that impacted your business, the community. Has it scared some people off? Are we going to rebound easily? Just some general thoughts on there. And I'm not sure if either one of you wants to take this first, but I definitely want to hear from both of you on this.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump in, Rinaldi?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. So I think with that, right, it's one thing that leads to another, right? When it rains, it pours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're already in a crypto winter. I don't think that's any news to anybody, right? It's been happening for the last few months and it's been building. And I don't think we're out of it. I don't think we're going to be out of it for a little bit. With FTX, it just resonates that there's still, we're still in a very early industry, an early domain, where because there's lack of regulation and lack of insight and transparency, that we're still growing, right? So blockchain is supposed to provide transparency, and that's a technology at the foundation of all of this. But at the end of the day, the way people are running companies around this with so much capital, there's still going to be some learnings, right? And I think FTX is going to be one of these things, right? Not everybody is going to move on to the next tier. Once this crypto winter is done, once the markets start shaping back up, which could be some time, right? There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of analysis from a lot of very smart and invested people. But regardless of that, right now is a perfect time for companies like Pixl.e to build, right? So if we're building the foundation and we're building something of value to people, right? Even though that there is a lot of financial unknown right now, which could lead to other unknowns within your life, you have the ability to have some type of support within a community like Pixl.e. And that's what I was saying earlier, right? You want people to wake up and say, hey, art is my passion. And I know I can go to Pixl.e and learn about some new technological tools that can help benefit myself, but also learn about some really cool art that's going on in other artists and provide collaborations. One last thing I want to touch on here is you got Rinaldi was talking about our artists for the Genesis Pass and how we're animating them. Those types of collaborations are happening organically too, right? Rinaldi is helping kind of move the pieces along, but eventually we want that community to be built around these types of collaborations. Hey, you have an idea, I have an idea, I have the skill set, you have the skill set. How do we build off each other to build something better and bigger? And so I'd say most of the communities right now understand that nothing is going to really surface People are still trying to do drops. People are still trying to go on with their day. It might be more difficult, but at the end of the day, the ones that are continuing to build in this time are going to come out successful. And that's where I see Pixl.e, and that's one of the reasons I joined as an advisor in the first place.
Well said. Yeah. Rinaldi, I think there's probably a little bit you could add on to that, but Alex, very, very well said. I think that the FTX, exposure there, not that I love Pixl.e, but you guys probably aren't going to run billions of dollars through like an FTX exchange, right? Hopefully someday. But there are other exposures and regulation maybe that could come into play. Things come into play like intellectual property, who has reprint rights, things like that. Do you need extra oversight in this space, or should we self-regulate? I think one of you touched on self-regulation earlier. And does FTX sort of expose what else is still needed in the marketplace?
I would say yes on all accounts. And I think that Alex has summarized it really well. So there's not much more I can say other than, Monty, I'm going to try not to be too flippant here, and I apologize if I offend anybody. But I was a software engineer working at Fidelity Investments in 2008 during the Lehman Brothers debacle. Right, we were hiding under our desks, waiting for the ball to drop every day for 2 weeks before things really got bad, right? And I'm hearing terms like crypto is dead, and this is the end of crypto. And to me, it's as ridiculous as if we were saying in 2008 securities are dead during the Lehman Brothers debacle. So crypto's here to stay. Foundationally, it's sound. Technologically, it's way more advanced than anything else that we're seeing. And we're at the sort of the birth of this revolution. And so it's not going away.
Yeah, I think there's a few trial and errors, and there's a few bumps in the road, but that's to be expected. That's how people learn. We touched that. Ooh, fire, hot. Let's not do that again. Let's learn from some of those mistakes and support more projects like this one.
Absolutely.
I think that we've covered it all. We've run slightly over time, but I think it was worthwhile. We got to everything on the to-do list there, so to speak. We got through all 10 questions. So thank you guys for being articulate and getting to the point there, and kind of filling in the community. And I can't wait to see what's next. Parting words from either of you. What's the next milestone? What's the next thing we need to look out for?
Well, I just want to thank you, Monty, for the time, and thank your community. Join us in our Discord. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're all about community building, and we'll be hosting some metaverse events in early and mid-December on Spatial. And so check us out there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to the team. And again, thank you to you and your community.
Thank you. We'll make sure we link everything below for everybody. So join the Discord, join some of those events, and the more the merrier, right?
Yeah. All I'll say is thanks a lot, Monty. This was fun, and looking forward to seeing what else comes out from your channel and what else happens with these markets over the next few months. So
likewise. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. As always, my name is Monty, and I am your crypto nerd.